It has been reported in the news that Sir Jim Ratcliffe intends on potentially moving Manchester United out of Old Trafford and developing a new stadium not too far away from where Manchester United are currently situated. And I wanted to talk about this because I think it's really important. I think that it's always bad news when a team intends to leave their home stadium. I think that if there are possibilities of developing the stadium, updating the facilities at the stadium, that's always preferred. I think that Manchester United, they have obviously a hell of a lot of history at Old Trafford. They've won countless Premier Leagues there, Champions Leagues whilst being based there, etc., etc. And Manchester United, the history of Manchester United, the sort of profile of Manchester United, the image of Manchester United is all based at Old Trafford. And if you decide to leave there and go into a new stadium, it's kind of like moving out of your childhood home. It's never going to be the same again. I disagreed when West Ham left the Bowling Ground. I disagreed when Tottenham left White Hart Lane. I disagreed when Arsenal left Highbury. And when we look at the history of clubs, particularly when those clubs have to buy their own stadium and not just sort of move into a new stadium that was already available, in the case of West Ham, for example, when they have to buy the stadium, we see the negative effects on their financial situation, on their transfer prospects, and the money that's available for such. In the case of Arsenal, for example, if they didn't have Arsene Wenger as the manager at the time, when they moved from Highbury to Emirates, and the years that they paid that money back, and the transfers that were available to them as a consequence of that, they would never have gotten Champions League football during that period. They would have been sort of a 7th or 8th position team, simply because the players at their disposal were not talented enough. And Arsene Wenger was a genius level manager. I think that we're sort of seeing and looking back sort of post hoc that Arsene Wenger was an unbelievably talented manager and got performances and results out of those players that they were never entitled to achieve. And it took Arsenal many years to recover from that purchase and having to pay off the debt associated with that purchase and the development of the Emirates Stadium. And Manchester United, do you really want to go through something like that? Particularly when you consider that with regards to transfers and things like that, there are reports coming out of the club that they are financially broke, that there's not a lot of money available for new transfers. And then to add on more club debt through purchasing a new stadium, is that really a good idea? It's going to limit the transfers that are available to you even further. And there are lots of positional deficits at Manchester United already. And then you're going to be looking at shifting wages off of your books from high paid players and replacing them with sort of lesser replacements, just like Arsenal did. If you look at Arsenal sort of in the years before the purchase and the movement over to Emirates Stadium, look at the team that they had, that sort of golden generation of Arsenal, the Invincibles team. A lot of those players were still at that club when they moved from Highbury to Emirates, and then there was a period where those players slowly moved on and were replaced by, let's be honest, second-rate players to replace them, and they relied on obviously players that they had previously at the club who they kind of developed from a sort of young age. I'm thinking, of course, of Fabregas and Van Persie and a few others in that team who came through the team as a youth player or were bought young and developed their careers further from that. But Manchester United really should not be putting themselves willingly through something like that. I would much prefer that they just redeveloped Old Trafford, reinvested money back into Old Trafford. There are lots of issues with the stadium, as we know, but I think it would be substantially cheaper for them to fix those issues and reinvigorate that stadium and continue to build history at that stadium, because everybody knows, if I mean, even international and foreign football fans, they know Old Trafford. They're not going to know the new stadium. The new stadium is not going to be associated with the history that Old Trafford is. And I think it would be a big mistake to move somewhere else. But that's what I think about Manchester United potentially developing a new stadium and leaving Old Trafford. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and have a great day.